orange is renting the White House, and this orange called a bulldozer to take half of it down. What is going on in this country?
Her cookies are store-bought.
They are actively tearing down part of the White House, and you guys are still supporting him.
Yes.
It's not about the ballroom. He's secretly building a state-of-the-art bunker where the old one is. He's planning on staying in power for the rest of his life. That's why he didn't go through the proper channels. He's trying to create an emergency before the midterms, and he and his regime will stay in power. And where are those people who fought to keep statues up to preserve history?
Trump 2096. I love it.
No, it is actually a demolition zone. That is what it is. Look at that.
Oh,
unbelievable.
Wow. This is a construction zone. You know, Donald Trump can't hear people asking for help because there's all the
machinery. I mean, these are like bulldozers taking down the people's house right in front of our eyes.
Leveling the people's house so that he can build a gold-encrusted ballroom.
And you think
wonderful.
How much does this cost? And he said $200 million, right?
Yeah.
A few weeks ago. Now he's saying $300 million.
Yeah.
$300 million and an unbelievable amount of money just for this vanity project of his with this golden ballroom.
Do they want to see the manager? I found him. It's the manager.
Even if it was his own money and private donors, why a ballroom knowing that people in your country are suffering? Like, even if your argument is he can do whatever he wants, it's his money. Okay? So then anything, help any small and large, honestly, with that kind of money, just help just pick a population that's suffering, because there's a lot. There's a lot of help that's needed. So just like pick one and do that instead of a ballroom.
Yeah, where was all this heat when Obama was doing renovations?
Sounds like they're building another wing to the White House, but we appreciate you keeping your focus.
You can't even imagine, TJ. It's going to happen for the next 2 years. All of the banging, the jackhammering, the dust, the confusion, the noise of all places to do construction is happening right here, the front lawn of the White House.
It's a 4-year renovation project. Estimated cost, $376 million.
That was from 2010, and that was done with the taxpayers' money. Hypocrisy much?
Liberals are waltzing themselves into peak derangement over the construction of Trump's big, beautiful ballroom. Hillary Clinton said, quote, "It's not his house, it's your house, and he's destroying it." Gavin Newsom twirled in next, saying, quote, "Ripping apart the White House just like he's ripping apart the Constitution." And Elizabeth Warren sent up a smoke signal. Never mind that Barack Obama built his basketball court, Richard Nixon rolled in a bowling alley, and plenty of other presidents did a little home renovation of their own. But President Trump adds a taxpayer-free ballroom, and suddenly the left's doing the meltdown mambo.
Donald Trump wants to be a king. It's the best explanation for everything he's been doing just in recent days. Just look at what he's doing right now to the White House.
It does, to me, when I look at it quickly, look like a Kim Jong-un propaganda video, right, of, you know, when he does the nukes on Washington or wherever it might be. There's something disturbing about it.
This unprecedented moment is an apt metaphor. Trump's demolishing the White House as he also demolishes our country's constitutional norms and rule of law.
A perfect metaphor for how President Trump is trying to just bulldoze his political foes.
I tell you what I don't care about. I don't care about that ballroom.
Exactly.
I'll tell you that.
And Jeff Daniels, yes, Mr. Dumb and Dumber himself, is clutching his pearls and unfortunately his guitar over Trump's meme machine.
The meme that he had where he was flying with the crown and the, spewing all over the people down below.
The country, America.
Yeah, he tried it. Would Lincoln have done that?
Lincoln was in charge of the Civil War. Americans versus Americans. He oversaw that. But a meme? Oh no, that's taking things too far. Oh my goodness. These people are crazy.
This is a song I wrote called Crazy World, which is how I cope. This crazy world's gone crazy. Who am I to judge?
Oh.
It's nice to know in a world full of hate, There's someone out there still making love.
Who out there is making love? Because all I hear is total hatred toward President Trump and a complete ignoring of history, where at least 13 presidents did the same thing, some of them with taxpayer dimes.
It's crazy for me to sit here and think about how we have one of the most famous builders in all of history, right? A guy who really knows what he's doing when it comes to construction. He has built masterpieces all over the world. He wants to come and do that here in America. People should be excited. They should be ecstatic. I know I am. I can't wait to see the new, big, beautiful ballroom. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And I can't wait till all of these naysayers have egg on their face. And maybe a little bit of poop.
Well, you know, I seem to remember under Joe Biden, we were dealing with different issues. I know it's crazy, but I seem to remember on this show and talking to people, we talked about crime. We talked about a broken border. We talked about the price of eggs and the price of gas. And we talked about a president who wasn't there. God, from 20 to 24, I wish we had this problem. I wish that we were sitting around talking about Joe Biden trying to fix up the White House rather than letting his son do off the toilet in the East Wing. Hillary criticizing someone for denigrating the White House. I mean, at least when Trump wanted the floor stained, he got a professional. And it's true, Trump is building a ballroom. But
well, hold on now there. I think that a lot of us would say that her husband got a lot of professionals too.
And it's true, Trump is building a ballroom. But for Hillary's husband, every room was a ballroom. You know what I'm saying, young lady? This is a press gimmick. It's on some ephemeral activity, and they pretend it's the only thing happening. It's like, you know, doing a story on a fireman caught talking on his phone and leaving out the part that he had just rescued orphans and puppies from a fire. And he's on the phone calling his wife saying, honey, I adopted an orphan and a chihuahua. That part is not in the story. So instead they say like, oh, they forget about what has Trump been working on? Well, the Middle East peace deal. That was just a few days ago. He's dealing with, you know, Putin and Zelensky. That's tough work. He's got immigration. He's got the crime, the border, you name it. Jeff Daniels is right. Lincoln would definitely not release an AI meme. And also, Ben Franklin would never call an Uber. It's amazing how Trump could take comedic actors, saw them there, and flip them into like these humorless gas bags where he actually goes on TV. That guy is a comedic actor and he's as funny as shingles. You know, I think the issue is that these people, and I'll say everybody from De Niro to Jeff Daniels, they have a problem with Trump because he's real. He's not playing a role. These people find joy in their characters and being inside a character, but when they're not in it, they're detached. They're dissociated. You know, their reality and their thoughts and the world around them, they're not connected to it. Imagine your whole life where you're happier being someone else, and then you're faced with somebody like Trump who's happy being Trump, and you don't understand it. It's like these are people that are just not comfortable when they aren't acting. That's what makes a great actor, is not having no self. Not having a self. Anyway, that's my psychoanalysis for today. I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Emily, it's $300 and I'll take a check.
Venmo on its way.
Okay, so I'm going to do this part quickly because I don't want to end up in a reel that you're showing tomorrow, and I'm not actually having a meltdown about the ballroom. But I will say that it is nothing like any of the other renovations. I mean, his ballroom is almost double the size of the White House itself. And he's not using taxpayer dollars. He's using his own dollars maybe, or the dollars of companies that want favorable treatment, like Google, Palantir, all with big contracts with him. But Trump and Caroline Leavitt and the whole administration would rather that this is what we're focused on, and it's really getting away from the real stories of the moment. We are in the midst of a government shutdown. The Republican caucus from New Jersey wrote to Mike Johnson saying, you got to make a short-term deal. Our constituents cannot handle these ACA premium hikes. Our farmers are losing their businesses. No soybeans coming out of America. We bail out Argentina, and then Argentina gets the contract. That's what those texts, remember, with Scott Besson and Brooke Rollins. And just before we came on air, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association said cattlemen and women cannot stand behind President Trump while he undercuts the future of family farmers and ranchers by importing Argentinian beef. Those are the stories of what is happening in America today. That is how Donald Trump's administration is hurting everyday Americans, most of whom voted for him. So the ballroom, it is a monstrosity, but I am choosing to talk about the shutdown and what's happening to our ranchers and our farmers.
Yeah, and
okay, first of all, that's not the topic. We're talking about the ballroom. Next they move on to, my government shutdown. But that's the thing. It is actually their government shutdown. It's not our government shutdown. And they say that as if there wasn't a government shutdown, that they would have been okay with this anyway. So all of these points are completely irrelevant. When he does something good, they hate him. When he does something great, they hate him.
Jesse, so too are Americans and Trump himself, actually, who is also talking about the shutdown and the Democrats' refusal. He's just building on the side. He can actually do multiple things at one time. And I want to talk about the hypocrisy, for example, of Hillary Clinton chiming in. Her husband was one of those presidents that he, for example, brought the putting green closer to the Oval Office. So after he enjoys his cigars, he could, I guess, take less steps. She personally oversaw a complete renovation of the inside of the dining room. The list goes on. Are they going to exhume Woodrow Wilson for destroying the colonial garden? I'm just not quite sure why now, when it's actually upgrading what prior presidents upgraded using taxpayer funds. Jessica brought up Silicon Valley companies' funds.
And let's not forget about the Clintons. Let's not forget about how when they left, they took the furniture and had to return it. If you want to talk about disgracing the White House, my goodness. Between being forced to return the furniture and what went on in the Oval Office with cigars, honey, they have some real nerve to speak.
The biggest recipient of Silicon Valley donor money to this day has been Kamala Harris. There's no way to spin this. He's doing this for the people.
You're very excited today, aren't you, Emily?
I love this topic.
Crooked about 80 grand in silverware and furniture. So, okay.
Right.
The thing Jessica's saying, she will get invited to dance at the big, beautiful ballroom if there's ever a Democrat president again. Maybe there won't be, but if she does get the invite, she'll go and she'll look great and she'll do the cha-cha and she'll take a photo and post it and it'll be fantastic. This is like all the things Democrats do. They complain and complain. And then all of a sudden, when there's like lower taxes and lower crime, they're secretly happy about it. Barack Obama himself wanted a big, beautiful ballroom. He had to hold a state dinner in a tent, in the United States of America. How stupid is that? This whole East Wing or whatever you call it, it was just a ruse to cover up a bunker. There's an underground bunker down there. That's the whole reason we have this East Wing in the first place. And Democrats had this whole epiphany. Remember the whole book that came out, Abundance? We have to be able to do things. We have to be able to build things. We have to be able to make things work. Okay, so Trump's building stuff and they're against it. They can't build anything. All they do is destroy. They destroy cities. They tear down statues. At least Trump's demolishing something and he's building it back up. Look at the Palisades. That's a demolition site. And Gavin Newsom hasn't even cut any tape there. This guy is modernizing the country. AI, we're building nuclear power plants, Bitcoin. He's rewiring world trade. We have to go into this century with the full force of American ingenuity. And if it means a big, beautiful ballroom, if it means Bitcoin, if it means a grand arch in the middle of D.C., that's a good thing. Beauty, Jessica, is a good thing. Trump's a meme lord. He puts a funny thing out that breaks the internet and they complain. They bring out a 70-year-old actor to play guitar. Think about how that looks. It doesn't look good, and they're mad that he's having fun.
I'm curious, Dana, because you being press secretary, a lot of Trump's improvements have been toward pragmatic improvements of the grounds. He talked about the people on the lawn sinking in, like he's making it a better experience for the vehicle that will drive, again, information to the people's hands. So are you supportive of all of those?
I don't know. I'm pretty much a traditionalist all the time, but I do know that when your heels sink into the grass, it is embarrassing, and I do not know how the first lady, she can do it so well without sinking in her heels. It's an astounding thing. I understand what they're doing. I also think that future presidents, if they don't like the Rose Garden look, they can change it. You can't change the East Wing situation. And I do think that, yes, the photos are a little bit jarring. And yes, it seemed like all of a sudden, because they move at a very quick pace. And I think a little bit of heads up, guys, this is coming and it's going to be amazing would have been worthwhile exercise. But I also think that Democrats need to understand that they cannot swing at every pitch. They just do. That Jessica was saying the same thing. That you have to ask yourself every day, what headline do you want at the end of today? And President Trump wants 25 headlines every day, and it works for them. It gets confusing to me. I think even for me covering it, it's like, wait, where do I look? It's like you can be a raccoon in a room full of disco balls. It's like, where do we look next? Because there's so many things that are going on. But the Democrats really have one singular focus: is how do they win the midterms and how do they get back in 2028? What we've already seen is the rinse and repeat. If they're going to all of a sudden immediately now in the first year of the second term, start calling J.D. Vance basically. So we know that you're never going to move on from Trump because they're going to try it doesn't matter who it is. Jeb Bush could come back and try to run for president and they will call him and try to tie him to Trump because that's what they think is their ticket to ride. But it really has been their ticket to nowhere. And that's why they're not going to win. And I don't think they're going to win either of these gubernatorial races in the next 2 weeks.
Wow. Big prediction by Perino. I like that.
I might be wrong about one of them.
Greg. You can use my Buy Me a Coffee link to buy Leroy a dog treat. Leroy, stop that. You're so cute. Oh, I love you. I love you. You guys steal the show. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Red Dawn Daily with your host, me, Dawn Marie, and sometimes Leroy. Leroy, you're not bored, are you? Leroy, did you know that 9 out of 10 people only watch to see you? Yeah. I'm just kind of here holding space for you. It's true. It's true. Leroy, you're so much fun. You're way more fun than any puppet. Right, Leroy?